Welcome to That's What She Said, where we'll spill the tea on women empowerment in the Great Lakes Bay region with your host, Christiana Malacara.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of That's What She Said with me, your host, Christiana Malacara. Thank you for tuning in today. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. If this is not your first time, welcome back. Each week, we spill the tea on women empowerment across the Great Lakes Bay region here in Michigan. If you are watching us, if you see my face on your screen, you are most likely tuning in on Thursday at 1:30 to our live version that goes over social media, Facebook, YouTube, and and those places. But we exist through WSGW 100.5 and 790 on Saturday mornings at 8 or Sunday evenings rather at 6:00 p.m. And then in podcast format, anywhere you listen to your podcast. In the comments today, if you're kind of going through, share a podcast that is one of your favorites. I know you're going to say That's What She Said. I get it. But in the comments, if you're on social media, go ahead and share that. I'm curious to know what everyone's listening to and learn more. There's always that option to learn more, which kind of takes us to this next thought of mine. So, for those of you that know, I jot things down. I don't journal. I don't diary. I'm not saying, hey, diary every night in my book, but I jot things down on a sticky note or a notebook, either in my car or by the side of my bed. And I had come across someone who said, I'm a lifelong learner. I'm a lifelong learner. And I thought, okay. And I asked her, I said, in your work, in school, and what is it? And she's like, everywhere. Just be open to learning everything all the time. And in the term lifelong learner, she had graduated through high school, graduated through college, and a career that she enjoyed. And just this thought of let's continue learning even after we think we're done, right? You get the certificate, you get the degree, you get the promotion. Your kids move off and out of the house and you think you're done, right? That air quote done. But are we really done? I don't know. I guess that answer's up to you. But being a lifelong learner, I think I kind of have to take that title on too, right? Always learning about yourself, learning something new, but also teaching and being the teachable person in the world to start that ripple effect. So without further ado, I have a wonderful guest with me. She's a dear friend. So sorry if there's a lot of giggles. No, not sorry if there's a lot of giggles. We're going to have a good time. So we have Jessica Blewett with us. Hi, Jessica.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going so well. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I asked you and I was like, you know what, let's just have a fun one. And because we know each other really well.
Yeah.
But the community might not. Our listeners might not. So could you introduce yourself and how the community might know you best?
Yeah. So my name's Jessica Blewett. Community would probably know me as I work at the Legacy Center currently, and I'm the development director there. And I've been doing that for about 2.5, 3 years. I've been in the nonprofit sector for about 6 years on and off. And I'm actually taking a job with United Way next week. So I used to run the Gus Macker and I ran it for 3 years. I've been on the radio and TV quite a few times with that. It's been super fun and amazing. And it was hard to leave my team, but now I can go out and help 25 other nonprofits in getting money for their different nonprofit entities. So,
what is the Legacy Center and where is it at?
The Legacy Center is in Midland, and they actually reach out to a 9-county region with their literacy side. They do English as a second language and tutoring one-on-one for that, and also for kids all the way through adults to teach basic education. And then another side of the Legacy Center is prevention, and that's prevention of substance use disorders for all of Midland County. So they're trained prevention specialists through the state of Michigan, and they ensure that working with law enforcement, schools, local government, and just everyday citizens to make sure that we're out there doing things like putting out harm reduction boxes in Midland County. So those would have Narcan in them and any kind of safe tools to help people that are going through recovery, that know people that are going through recovery, that aren't quite even in recovery yet, but need the next step. And that's a huge part of what the Legacy Center does. But overall, the Legacy Center really focuses in on the 40 developmental assets, and those are brought to us by Search Institute out in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And those basically are the building blocks to help us as humans to go from nothing to making sure we're getting out there into the world and doing good. So
40 of them.
40 of them.
Okay. Everything you just said, it felt like a lot.
It is a lot.
It's a,
It's a lot.
it's a lot to cover.
It is.
There was
It is
a
a lot to
whole,
cover.
there was 2 categories and an entire spectrum within each category.
Yeah.
So we're talking about literacy and prevention.
Yes, and now you know why I'm leaving and going to the United Way, because it's the United Way. Everybody knows what that is.
Everybody knows what the United Way is. So when we're looking at the Legacy Center, within these 2 portions, which portion kind of filled your cup the most?
So great question. I thought that throughout the years, and I'd say both, because one, the educational side, the literacy side, that's going to give you choices. So the lifelong learning, I was taught that from a young age. My mom was a teacher, and my dad was a safety educator and trainer for MyOSHA. And so he was a teacher as well, just with adults and teaching safety. So little did I know, they taught me how to learn through my whole lifetime, which is, again, like why I'm not, like, I'm switching roles again, because I'm done learning there. I'm ready to learn the next thing. So yeah, so that's a little bit of it.
So when we're talking about the Legacy Center, you said it's a nonprofit.
Yep.
But you said you've been in the nonprofit world for 6 years.
Mhm.
Did you always think you were going to be in the nonprofit world?
No, I started out in corporate America. Actually, my very first want of a job out of high school was I went to Ferris State for forensic biology. I got my degree in forensic biology. The look you just gave me was one I usually get. So I loved forensics. I wanted to work crime scenes. I wanted to work in the state crime labs. That was my ultimate goal. And with the economy in 2008, when I graduated from Ferris, it kind of just swept out from underneath me. So I went and worked for the DNR for 3 months because my husband got a job in Cadillac with the Cadillac News. And he brought us up to Cadillac. And I said, there's not really much up here for me. So we ended up moving to Madison, Wisconsin for a job that I had because I wasn't willing to settle. And I worked in pharmaceutical research for 5 years. So that was the first 5 years of my career. And after I had both of our girls, I said, I want to be home a little bit more. I see them 1 hour a day with travel and everything else, because Madison's 400,000 people. So you have traffic and everything else. And he agreed, and we decided to make the change. And I started working at a Catholic church in Monona, Wisconsin.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay. So there's a lot of adjustments that has happened.
Yeah.
And it sounds like in a short amount of time.
Yep.
But initially, let's go back
Yeah.
to you're picking out your major at Ferris.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And you're thinking, we're going to unpack that a little bit. And
Yeah.
you're in this mindset of, yes, I graduated high school. I'm going away to college, which is a very, it's an experience of excitement and privilege, right? I'm going away to college.
Mhm.
And then you said 2008 hit.
Yeah.
You're graduating. You're like, what
What's
do I do?
next?
What's next? Yeah, the unknown.
Yes. Yeah.
So
That was scary.
first of all, what made you pick forensic science?
Well, I picked criminal justice
Criminal
to start
justice,
out with,
okay.
and I got my associates in that. And then I worked at the police department at Ferris State for 3 of the 4 years I was in college. And I realized I didn't want to be a cop. I was so respectful, but just wasn't for me. I didn't want to work the swing shift, and I didn't want to have a family. And so many people do it, and they're amazing at it, but I didn't feel like I could do all that. So I said, well, what else can you do? And I have an uncle that worked in the state crime lab in Sterling Heights. And I really looked up to him, and I said, well, that would be amazing. And so I took forensic chemistry. I fell in love with it. I became a teacher's assistant for the forensic chemistry teacher at Ferris and went to a conference with her. Just that was my next step. But as a citizen, it's really hard to get into a crime lab. It's a lot easier to get in when you've been on the force for a while. So that was one thing that was against me. Also, I didn't have the laboratory experience. So between those two things, I either had to go get an internship or go find a job. And so I went and found a job with lab experience. And that's what took me to the drug research.
So when you were going through college and you're thinking, I can't be a police officer. And you said it.
Yeah.
I have this almost a goal of a family, right?
Yeah.
So that work-life balance, you were already thinking about that.
Yeah. Definitely.
Prior, years before you've had your family.
Yeah. I guess it was.
What made you think that? I mean, as a college student, that's usually not
right?
top of mind.
I don't know. I got lucky and found my college sweetheart, who's still my husband today. I got really lucky with Joe, and that's my husband. And he and I met at Ferris, and we both decided we wanted a family. We wanted a career and a family. And then the next step for me was I want to get out of this area. I've lived in Mount Pleasant, Big Rapids area most of my life, and I want to try something new. And that's what took me over to Madison.
So you were goal setting together.
Yeah. Yep. We always have. Yep.
Always have.
Always have. Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. I guess you did get lucky.
Yeah, I did.
Thanks, Joe.
He's not perfect, but he's pretty good.
That's important to recognize,
yes,
right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm not perfect either.
That's important to recognize.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So we're moving through your timeline here, but I'm just so, I guess, in awe, which I didn't realize that you were goal setting together.
Yeah.
So
I guess I didn't either.
What are Well, I was going to ask you for some tips for listeners who are, in a relationship.
Yeah.
And, one might have goals and the other one may have separate goals.
Yeah. And that's okay. That's healthy. You need to have your own individual goals as well. But making the relationship work long term, you need to make sure those goals align mostly. And that's what we've found to be the best thing at the end of the day. Because even when our goals don't align, somehow we find a way back to each other. So
how do you do that? How are we assessing, hey, do your goals align with mine, and how do we get on the same page?
You look at their goals and you say, is that something healthy? That's what I look at with Joe. I'm like, are those healthy goals? Like when he changed careers, because he went from public relations and now he works in healthcare. And so we kind of did a flop. Like he took my science degree and went into that, and I took his business degree and went into that. So he set different goals, and he had different challenges, and he wasn't happy. And one thing was we both said we have to be ultimately happy with what we do, and we want to bring that to our family one day. We both wanted kids, and I remember like yesterday there was a guy at an apartment complex we lived at, and he was an older gentleman, probably in his 50s. I say older, I just turned 40, so I guess I'm older now. But he was like, why don't you guys start a family? And we were 22. And we're like, I don't know. And then we're like, maybe. And we're sitting there and our apartment rent just went up. And we said, well, why don't we buy a house first? That's what we want to do first. And so that kind of pushed us to get the house. And then we got the house. And then 2 days after we had the house and we were moved in, I found out I was pregnant. So we had already started trying. We got lucky. And but we were 24. I had her at 25. And it just, all the cards aligned. It felt like perfectly with both of the kids. And then I got burnt out with my corporate career. And that's when things didn't go as planned and the goals didn't feel like they were being met. So you run into those blocks.
So we're talking about communication, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like a direct line of communication between
Always.
You and your partner.
Yep. That's everything.
Everything. So
Mm-hmm.
that would be step one.
Yep. Step one. You have to talk. You have to talk, period. You can text, but you have to talk.
You have to talk.
Yeah.
Do you set time aside to have these conversations? I mean, like in the past and then now, do you set time for each other?
No. I'm being real.
I love that honesty.
I would love to. We try. Right now we have a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old, and they're both on the go nonstop because that's how we are too. And we both have we have big jobs in the community that we like to do. And so we're not a 9-to-5 jobs anymore. We're both working all over the place because that's what we like. And we've made our careers into our family life. And our kids are probably sick of us talking about our nonprofit jobs, but they're also being raised with parents that are there at all times. So I kind of went off course there, but yeah.
No, I don't even remember the course. That was great.
I don't either. So that's good.
This is actually how we talk, guys.
Yep.
We get on course, off course, back, and then
Yeah, good luck following us.
Yeah.
Might have to dump that.
Yeah, might have to edit that a little bit, Jonathan. So you said you originally worked a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But now you just said, now I work all the time, but it's incorporated into my family.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you use the word burned out.
Mm-hmm.
When people think, now I work all the time, that's burned out.
Yes.
But you said that
no.
9 to 5 was
Yeah.
the burned out.
For me, it was.
Why? How? Could we talk about that?
Yeah. So I always say, lately I've been saying I'm an outdoor cat. I'm not an indoor cat. So I'm the kind of person that needs to not be at a desk all the time, because if I am, I will get burnt out. You can't just set me in front of one thing and tell me to do it, because I will go crazy. That's why I'm out in the community working at different times. Like tonight, I'm going to be going to a Loons game, and I'm going to be working at the Loons game with clients. And, tomorrow I'll be go through the community and talk to them about the Gus Macker a little bit more. And
so you're
up the
having a
current job.
schedule that's interactive, that's
Yes.
flexible, but
Yep. Sometimes it is 9 to 5, but sometimes I work at night, and sometimes I work on a weekend. Gus Macker, the entire event, I worked like 4 12-hour days. And so
but you're okay with this.
Yeah, it was fun. I loved it because I took time off around it, and I made sure I had that balance, because you have to have the balance. The kids will tell you if you don't.
This is true. Your kids will tell you if you don't.
Yeah.
So that leads into my next question is, what made you realize when you were burnt out? Like what was it about that specifically? You said you didn't like sitting at a desk. I get it. But I'm sure there was like a mental weight on you at that time. What can you take us back there so we can feel that?
Yeah, all the way back to before children. And you feel burnout at all stages in life, I feel. And, in college, I had burnout times where I didn't pass a class, and that was awful. But you learn and you pick up the good things and you move forward and you try again, because you're not always going to pass things. Like taking tests, not a fan of it, but I will write you a paper and I can do 20 other things. But I've learned like testing isn't my forte. So I will go and pursue other things, and I won't probably get my PhD one day. My husband probably will, because he loves education. But that's just something I'm not into, is like formal, sit down, take a test education. I think you can be educated in 20 different ways.
So you're identifying what works for you and what doesn't.
Yes. And so I found out like what doesn't make you feel good, right? And that leads towards the burnout that we were talking about. So burnout can come in all different forms, and it doesn't have to be just a complete crash out. I think that's the word my kids use nowadays.
Crash out.
Crash out, I think it is.
I don't know. I'm not that cool.
I know. I try. but yeah, it doesn't have to be a complete crash out. You can feel it coming. You'll know your own body. Like, know what makes you tick. Know what makes you happy. Know what makes you sad. I've built a tribe of people around me since I was young. Wally Mayton, who's an amazing leader in the Great Lakes Bay region. He taught me when I came here and I knew no one. He said, go build yourself a tribe. And I was like, how am I supposed to do that? I'm a mom of a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, and I'm not even working. So
what'd you do? How'd you do it?
I, step by step, like I started volunteering at school. And then I said, Joe, I love these girls, but I really need to get a job. So after being home for a year and a half, I got a job, and then I met people through that. And then I became an ambassador for the MBA in Midland. And that helped one step after another and helped me get to where I am today. And just joining different groups, finding out what made me feel good and what didn't make me feel good. And I went towards the things that did make me feel good.
So when things don't make you feel good, other than the initial, like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You said, listen to your body.
Yeah.
How? What does that mean?
So if you feel like you're extra tired and you're just restless and anxious, and those are things that, when I was younger, anxiety wasn't talked about ever. And thank goodness for my husband, because I learned a ton about mental health with him. He works in the mental health field and learned all about how our bodies can tell us everything. And so if you're restless, anxious, feeling those things, something's not right. So what is it? You have to analyze that and figure out what's right and what's wrong. And you can't just numb it with something else, because that long term won't help you. So you learn to just, okay, this isn't working, so I'll try this. Pivot is like one of my favorite words. Plot twist, another one. It's like
Plot
every
twist.
day. Yep. Just had somebody say that to me recently, and they were like, plot twist, and I'm like, I'm using that one.
That is a good one. You know what? I'm going to pocket that one too.
Yes.
So we're going to unpack this in the second half, but there's times in your life where you feel like your body is just I'm done. I'm tired. Like you said, I'm extra tired.
Yep.
And I think women really experience this, but they push through it because they're like, got to get to the next thing. Got to take the kids here. Got to make dinner. Oh, I forgot my list. I know I can, get to the store anyway without it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You got to push through it sometimes, but it's when it's not just a physical, it's emotional, and other people around you see it too. And then, so you kind of take cues from others, and sometimes your friends or family will be like, hey, everything okay? And that's when you cue in and go, maybe it's not. And
Maybe
that's when you take a step back and you do a little self-love.
Maybe it's not.
Maybe it's not.
Wow, that's heavy. That's heavy. And so your tribe essentially is who's telling you these things.
Yep.
Wow. Our conversations over daiquiris are much different.
They are. I don't remember them. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, before we cut into the second half, thank you again. Thank you again. Jessica Blewett is here, and she is currently working for the Legacy Center. Go Google them. They're fantastic. And in the next half, we'll dive a little bit deeper into her role models and how to build your tribe. So come on back to the second half of That's What She Said.
That's What She Said with Christiana Malacara is back. Now let's spill the tea.
Hi, and welcome back to the second half of That's What She Said. My name is Christiana Malacara, your host of That's What She Said. And my guest today was just talking about her journey and where she is ended up today. I started the segment by talking about being a lifelong learner and open to just the ability to absorb information and be taught, having the willingness to learn. And Jessica here is in a transitional period of her life, which sounds like nothing new. So we have Jessica Blewett with us. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So when we were in the first segment, you said you told your husband Joe, you're like, hey, I love our girls, but they're driving me up a wall. I need to start working.
Yep.
So that was a moment that you had to be vulnerable and honest with not only your husband, but yourself.
Right. Because it's hard to say that. Like, you want to be mom of the year. You want that to be your only job. And you're wondering, you're curious, why do I need something more when these girls are amazing, beautiful, awesome, and everything? Why do I still feel that need of more? And that's okay.
What did it take for you to ask yourself that question?
I don't know that answer. I don't know that answer.
Oh my goodness.
I know, right? Can I say that?
You can. You can.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. Because for me, it was a buildup over time.
I think, that's a great way to put it.
It was a buildup over time.
Yeah.
I love these littles.
Yep.
But we're going through this cycle as a stay-at-home parent of each day has some unknowns, but it's also the same thing with the same people.
Yeah. And I think they do better
people.
With somebody else.
And they might
honestly, they could get more out of this part of life and be taught more with someone else teaching them. I never felt like I was a teacher. Like, my mom was a teacher and she was phenomenal at it. And I said, I'm not that. And later on, when COVID happened, I really found out I wasn't a teacher because I tried that too. But it some people have that ability to teach little kids And yes, I've been a mother and teaching them that way, but I feel like that educational side where they get out of their house, meet other people, and just bond with the world, like that's needed. And that's part of why I pushed to go back to work.
You briefly compared yourself to your mom.
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
I don't know. Probably because she's like the one I know that raised me and taught me, and she brought me into this world, and she was a teacher. She was a guider, and I have compared myself to my mom when it comes to teaching because I think she was phenomenal at it, and she's taught my kids and my niece and nephews throughout their lives. Now they're all older, but I think she is somebody that I would look up to. Like I do look up to.
See, we talk about it all the time, and that's what she said. And it's about creating a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And your mom was that person for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that if I had your girls in the room right now, they could say that about you?
I hope so. I can't promise. They're teenagers.
You're like, but they better.
I mean, maybe the 15-year-old, but I don't know about the 12-year-old. No.
In what aspects do you think that you have traits from your mom that you pass along to them?
My talking.
Valid.
Yeah. That's something that I definitely know I got from my mother, and my mother got from her father. And being open to people and the people-pleasing trait, which can be a great thing, but also can be frustrating because you want to make everyone happy all the time. But it's okay to not make everyone happy all the time. And I've had to learn that through life.
How so?
You're just not always going to have the right answer, right? You're not always, I just did it 2 minutes ago. I was like, I don't know that answer. And it's okay because you're one person. You only have the ability to give what you've been given. And that's all you got. So
you only have the ability to give what you have been given.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well then let's have this conversation. Yeah. If I'm a lifelong learner, then I can always give more if I'm learning more.
True, but to a certain ability, right? Because we can only learn in a certain way. Like we could do a math problem and I could take it in and understand it a different way than you do. At the end of the day, it's always the same answer at the bottom. But with life, it's not so black and white. It's like, hey, we've got answer A, answer B, or answer C. And sometimes, it's A and a half, or however you say it.
A and a half.
A and a half. I do more math than I do literacy, even though I work for a literacy.
All right, we're going to have to put a timestamp on that. I love it. But here we go. We're talking about what's limits, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can give what, how did you say that? You can only give as much as you know, right? So if you're constantly learning, you can keep pouring.
Yes.
But the limits on that, on one end can be endless because I'm going to be a lifelong learner the rest of my life. I can just proclaim it and say, there's no limit to this.
Yeah, you can be a lifelong learner and still have limits.
But I know you personally, and I know that you are wonderful at setting boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Good, because that's taken years.
Okay.
It has. And counseling. I love counseling.
Let's talk about that. Let's have like an honest conversation about women in setting boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because I think that compared to me, you have mastered this.
No, I haven't mastered anything, but thank you. I appreciate that.
So when do we need to put a boundary up?
When do you feel like you need to put a boundary up? To me, again, it's feelings. Does that feel wrong? If that's feeling like violating to you in some way, shape, or form, that's probably what needs a boundary. If it feels off, sometimes you need to check it with a close friend that you can rely on and say, hey, I had this happen to me. And is this okay? Or am I overthinking it? Or am I on the right path here? And then see what they say. I do that a lot. And make sure it's somebody that you can trust and you value their assessment of it. Because you don't want to ask somebody that, wouldn't give you the answer like that you would want to do anyway.
An honest answer.
Yeah.
An honest answer.
Yeah.
So
respect. Yeah.
When we're putting up boundaries, if it's in the work or home or friendship, how does that, or have you had an experience where that affects other people directly?
So give me more of that. Give me more
Okay.
of the question.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
So I would say in the work environment.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Okay.
And you're lying down a boundary. I was like,
Mhm.
these are my limitations.
Yeah.
How does the rest of the work environment, like, what does that look like?
Okay, this is super easy because I work in fund development, right? And I have to hit my goals. And so I have to make sure I go out and ask for X amount of dollars from this person and that person, this person. And sometimes they're like, no, I can't give you that, but I want all of these things, even though I can only give you $2,500. I want all of these things. And I say no, because this guy didn't get all of these things. And you have to make it fair for each sponsor, right? For example.
Mhm.
So fairness weighs into that. And if you find like it's against your morals, values, and that's where you put the boundary up and you say, I'm sorry, and you might lose the sale, but then you move on and you find somebody else, because there's always somebody willing to give you money. I know that sounds crazy, but there really is.
But in that, you're putting up boundaries with people, and sometimes they take it personally.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's like, oh, this was all business.
Yes. So you make sure that they understand, because I have personal relationships with a lot of my business people, because you have to have relationships with people in order to do business, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it doesn't work, because it's just a transaction. You might as well just go to the bank and put the money in, take the money out. It's, out of the ATM.
So let's shift the same situation of you're a woman and you have to set boundaries, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
let's talk about it in your family setting.
Okay.
So with your, with your immediate and your extended family,
Mhm.
what are some boundaries that you have had to put up that have been a little harder for the other person?
Immediate is like my kids. They've always got boundaries that I have to put up. They want to test the limit on, screen time, or they want to test the limit on screen time is really a big one right now.
Okay.
When they were little,
so
yeah. And so they mouthiness and that sort of thing, they want to test that limit and say like, well, I'm just going to snap back. And it's like, no, you can't do that. And as much as I want to be their friend, I'm their mother first and foremost. And I say that, and again, comparing to my mother, she said that to me. So I'm my mother after all. And you go back and you go, yeah, that makes sense on why she said that. And you think about the things that you did when you were younger and how your kids are testing you. So you learn from your life lessons, right? And then you instill the goodness. And that's part of building boundaries, is finding out, okay, this, I didn't put a boundary up and my kid ran all over me. And so maybe if I do put that boundary up, it's not fun right now, but it's going to be better in the long term, because they know they can't get past this line. So that's one way.
Okay. So let's specifically talk about screen time.
Okay.
Because I know that we have some moms out there listening that are like, girl, I'm going through the same thing.
Mhm.
My
Yeah.
kids always want to be on their phone, always want to be on the tablet, watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to get our nose in a book. We need to get outside. We need to talk to people in person.
Yeah.
So when your children push you back on, I want to get on my phone again,
Mm-hmm.
what are you doing to create that healthy boundary?
So screen time is tricky, because I was born in 1985 and I was raised in the 90s, and I'm much older than you. So I never had a screen growing up, until I did. And that was high school, college, before it was actually like a screen, not just a phone that was a Nokia that you pulled the antenna up. So
we have a lot of people nodding their head like, yep. I remember the Razor.
So I'm an old millennial, almost a Gen Xer. And I think about this all the time. And we were raised through technology, but we didn't have it. And so when we're raising our kids, it's been a huge thing that we've been like, is this the right thing to do? When they were little, I bought them the little knobbies. I don't know if you remember what those are, but that wasn't an iPad, because I didn't trust them with an iPad. So they got a knobby, and it was regulated. You had times you could put on it. You had apps, certain apps. They couldn't get on all of the internet. So we used that. Then we went over to the next thing, because they were doing fine with that. And then we built on those things. My kids, to us, we put a boundary at 13, you can be on a cell phone. Now I have friends that have their kids in high school that are on cell phones still, which is probably a better way to go, to be honest. Now that we're looking at things in society and we're seeing like, oh, these kids probably shouldn't be on these devices as much. I'm not perfect at it. I don't lock my kids' devices up and put them in the other room. They actually take them to bed with them, because I want them to create their own boundaries. So if they're up too late and they can't get up for school the next day, too bad. You got to get up for school anyways. So we've had some rough mornings, but they've learned, and it's taken them a little while, but they've learned. And my oldest now is like, I'm in bed at 9, sleeping by 9:30, and then she can get up at 6:30 and go to school. So my youngest is still learning that right now, but I'm not perfect at regulating that. But I think part of that is helping them regulate themselves, because no matter what, we're going to go out into the world. They're going to go out into the world. Hopefully that's my goal, is for them to go out, and I want them to be able to have those boundaries.
That's a really good example of allowing them to set their own boundaries and learn their limitations.
Yeah. And I think my parents did that for me, and I'm pretty sure my husband's parents did that for him. And we have the same thought process on that. So that's huge. That communication piece again with your partner.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that similar background did help.
It did. It doesn't mean it always has to be similar, but yeah.
You've said a few times, I'm not perfect.
Yeah. Was
there a time where you thought that you were?
No. Let's be real. I think I've always been a realist. Like but I've been a realist with a optimistic attitude. So, I don't know. I've always strived for the next thing. I've been told I go for the big goals, and I don't even realize I'm doing that. I just know that I'm not fulfilled. So I go for something better in my eyes, better to me, not necessarily better out there, because some people don't like sales at all. And I was an insurance agent at one point. So, I worked from the front desk all the way to becoming an agent, because that's what I wanted to do for myself. So,
and let's go back to the word perfect.
Yeah.
That I'm not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Did someone teach you that, or do you think you taught yourself that?
A little bit of both. I remember I took a biology class in college, and that professor, anatomy and physiology, and he told me I should never go into biology, that I would fail miserably at it.
What?
And it was so devastating, because I was going into forensic biology, and this person just popped my bubble, and I said, "Oh, okay." And so I went and cried, and then I came back out and said, "I'm doing it anyways. Like, who's this guy?" So that's probably what started my feistiness.
You to the professor, "Who's this? What do you know?
What do you know?" All of anatomy and physiology. And he was right about AMP.
Oh, God.
It's a lot of memorization.
But you said you cried.
Yeah.
You released. You're like,
oh yeah,
you're
crying
right.
is great too.
You're like, I can't do it.
Yes.
But then that pivot, that
Yeah.
plot twist, you know what?
Right.
I'm going to try anyway.
Exactly. Because, it's like you can sit in your own tears, or you can get up and figure out what to do next. And if you don't know, go ask somebody that you look up to, because they'll tell you what they think that you'd be good at. And it's usually something that deep down inside you'd be okay at. And then you end up being really good at it.
So looking through someone else's lens, we talk about that sometimes, and that's what she said. We haven't in a while, but you're bringing up some really good points. Looking through the lens of your mom to, raise your children, to raise your daughters. I feel like that's something that not many people do, actually, is to say, Mom did it this way, so it must be right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that way?
Sorry, Mom, but not all things are right. And she knows that too. And because she raised me in a different environment and different setting than I'm raising my kids, right? And life was different for her than it is for me. We didn't have technology back then. We have it now. I remember being the kid that ran outside until the streetlights were on, and then you had to come home for dinner, And my kids, they don't even like riding their bike around the neighborhood. And it's a really nice neighborhood. But it's frustrating. It's like, well, why aren't you going over to so-and-so's house? But it's just a different time. And that's okay. We have different challenges, and finding those leaders that you look up to is key, I think, in all of that.
So you're finding these leaders, then you're looking through their lens.
Yep. And sometimes it's not people around you. Sometimes you have to read a little bit more, which I don't love reading, to be honest. I do like it, but I'm pretty sure I have undiagnosed ADHD. So it's something that's challenging for me to sit down and read. And so I pick up podcasts and I listen to those. And Girl Wash Your Face. That's a great book. I read that book when I was going through a trial in life, and I was like, this lady's inspiring. And she's been through trials on her own before and after that book. And I still look up to her because I was like, thanks for getting me through that moment. And it wasn't anybody around me.
When there was no one around you.
Yeah.
You read this book.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And this pushed you forward.
Yep.
You said it's okay to sit in your tears.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes we have to learn, but put a timer on. I heard this once. Put a timer on for 10 minutes and cry your eyes out. Get it all out. And then once the timer goes off, you get up and you move forward. And I've done that many times. And there have been times where it's been more than 10 minutes. But it works really well because it gives you that hope. Don't lose that hope.
Do you think that that's a technique that you are instilling in your family and in your children?
I hope so. I pray so. Like, I hope that my kids can take that away from me one day. If I leave anything, it'll be that they can move forward no matter what. Because we've been through some trials in the last decade and it's been tricky, but you get up and you keep moving and you try the best you can.
So you work in this environment currently that has these 40, what did you call them?
Developmental assets. Yeah.
Which one out of those 40 do you identify with most?
I have no idea. I knew you were going to ask me
Jessica.
which one. So there's a joke that at work that I know how to run an event and I can see it through and hit my goal and everything, but I lost my notes on how the event is planned out. Because that's me in a nutshell. So I plan it all out. Sometimes it's right here in my head and then I implement it, I divvy it out, and then I make sure we do the things we have to do. So the 40 developmental assets, go to www.tlc.org and look up 40 developmental assets or just Google them. And there are 40 different stepping stones on how to get through different things in life and how we can build our kids up, but also how we can build our adults and our seniors up. So right now in our community, we're making this survey happen at the end of the year. The Legacy Center is, and they're doing it for kids, adults, and seniors. And with this survey, we can find out what assets we're lacking in this community and which ones we can pick up and which ones other people can help us with.
Which one do you think you would want to pick up?
Oh, these are tricky questions. I don't have it right in front of me.
This is my job.
I know. You didn't say it was going to be tricky. Which ones could I pick up? I don't know. I literally would have to look at them.
Yeah.
I'm a very visual person. So
well, then we would have to look at them. We'll have to look at them later because I don't really want to go through this.
Yeah.
So here in our last couple of minutes, real quick, you're going through a transition to a new job.
That's partially why I don't think I remember half of
so
the
what is something that you're most excited about for that?
I'm excited. A lot of nonprofits, not just one, and help them raise funding so that they can give it back to the community. And that's what it's all about, is raising the money from people that have it to give to the people that don't, and helping impact not just, those that are direly in need, but also the ALIS population. And that is huge because any day somebody could end up in the ALIS population.
So our last question is, what is a piece of advice that you would give to a woman in the Great Lakes Bay region?
Be yourself, form a tribe, and always try to see the silver lining.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for being here today.
No problem.
Ladies and gentlemen listening, that was Jessica Blewett, and that's what she said.